All right, guys, so I'm going to keep this short and sweet because I've got some raw video to show you that we did today, a Zoom press conference with 4 news stations that were there. One of them was Channel 15, Mr. Biscabine, and Jimmy Jenkins was there, and 2 others, and I'll let the video speak for itself. It's kind of raw video, so it's not the best quality. You know, it's Zoom, it's 2020 with this COVID and all this crap that's going on, so this is how we got to do it. But it concerns all the units, but mostly focusing on Yuma. Yuma's in dire need right now. They're in despair. They can't say anything that's going on over there, but you'll see what we're talking about. This director's got to go. We're calling for his termination. We want him out of there. There's a lot of groups that want him gone. We're going to push the limits here. He's I don't know what you guys think about him, but I think it's time you guys get on the same page here. He's a dirtbag. He needs to freaking go. He doesn't know what he's doing. He shouldn't be here. He's a foreigner. To me, he's a foreigner. He came here. He doesn't know anything about corrections. He painted a big picture with his little brown uniform on. You know, big guy fooled us with all his bullshit. Well, he didn't fool me. Most of us weren't fooled. But anyway, he tried. He's been silent. It's an outrage what's going on in Yuma. So the warden died. You guys know that. There's other people that are in the hospital critical. What they've been doing in Yuma has nothing to do with the staff fault. It just has to do with, you know, the way the administration tries to cover up things. So we're exposing it. Don't fall for it no more, man. You'll see in the video, we talk about the N95s. All your complexes have them in their warehouse. Go get them. I don't care if you're lieutenant, sergeant, captains. Go get it. Go bust that shit open. Go take it out of there. Give them to your staff. If you run out, tell them, buy some more. It's not our problem no more. And if push comes to shove, because a lot of people have been asking, I'd walk. If I was there, I would have walked by now. Gone. Zero. I would have taken my whole shift and walked. That's what they need, a wake-up call. Don't let them put your lives in jeopardy. This COVID's real. It took out Mr. Jensen. It's taken out some other staff before. You know, we'll be respectful, not talk about them. It's killing inmates left and right. They're jeopardizing inmates by putting them in COVID pods that are healthy inmates in COVID. Anyway, I'm going to let it run, but get your families together. Get your families together. Everybody needs to protest this and tell them we're done. We're not going to put up with this. They either fix it or get the hell out of there. I'm telling you, I'm not calling for a brownout. I'm not calling it that. I'm just saying, here's what I'm saying. Back in my day, and you guys know me, the ones that do know me, I would have gotten the hell out of there and taken all my troops with me. It ain't happening. You're not going to jeopardize me and my convicts. So anyway, enjoy. Let me know what you think. But spread the word. Take this video. I'm telling you, don't do it for my sake. For you guys' sake. Make it go viral. Send it to everyone that you know. Get it out there. Again, it's raw video, so don't be impressed with it. It's kind of low quality and the voice is low, but stick with me, okay? Until next time. That's where I'm going with this. So this press conference is both personal and business for us, my friends. Business because Shinn is endangering the lives of both staff and inmates. And even more importantly today, what we have to reveal, the public, by his failure to act when he first had knowledge of this virus and denied AZCPOA pleas, constant pleas, to allow all staff to wear masks. And even now, we're the following directives at Yuma. This is horrific. I know you're going to say it can't be, but it is. And this is absolutely placing everyone's lives in danger, and that's why it's critical that this gets out today. So here we go. Healthy inmates, unaffected. That means they're not infected with the COVID. These are normal inmates, separated. At Yuma Complex especially, are being placed in a COVID-infected pod 2 weeks prior to being released. You guys understand that? The severity? He's taking inmates that are unaffected by COVID and putting them in a COVID pod for the last 2 weeks and then released. The inmate is then released with an alias. They changed the name and relocated to a hotel such as a Travelodge is the one that we're seeing the most popular. And they're put on a 2-week self-quarantine. If you ask DLC, which a lot of media have, they will say that the alias is to protect the inmate from a HIPAA violation, which has nothing to do with HIPAA. And I've asked experts that deal with releases in prison, and they're saying they have no idea why they're using an alias and they've never seen it before. And until now, they're hearing it now. The staff are under a gag order. This is everyone, not just Yuma, my guys, to not speak of the release procedures that we're talking about to the media, per the director's revised policy forbidding it. As you all know, they can't talk to you anymore, and I'm sure you're aware of that by now. But staff can speak to us, and I'm a union official, so they get to speak to me, and I get to release it. At the inception, Shinn stated on the media that prisons were the safest place to be. Fact, he said it. It's recorded. He also claimed that the COVID was a great recruiting tool. This was also recorded. When AZCPOA pleaded with him to allow staff to wear masks, he never responded to any of our communications. But in the ranks, staff were not allowed to wear masks per his direction. No one ever answered us. We put out at least 5 emails pleading, you got to do the most minimum thing, wear masks, never did it. A lieutenant, and who is also an AZCPOA president, that's Mr. Haas, Mark Haas, from Lewis Complex, had to become a whistleblower to expose his failure. And staff at Lewis had to physically walk away from the job. That occurred in order to get our point across. Then and only then did he allow us to wear masks. And even then he implemented a mediocre procedure that entailed wearing prison masks made from inmate boxer shorts. They weren't allowed to wear the real ones. No N95s here. Following the whistleblower, he immediately changed the policy so that DOC staff could not speak to the media. That's a fact. Right after the whistleblowing event, he shut down the policy. We can't speak to you guys no more. Well, I can. The whistleblower and an additional whistleblower, who was an ADW, both were targeted and fired under the pretext that they had participated in an excessive use of force. They didn't. They were fired because they were whistleblowers. We're currently suing them for that. Iman and Florence were the first complexes of priority that were affected by the COVID. They needed help. They were mandating staff from Yuma to go work Iman and then come back to Yuma. We try to tell them, put an end to that. You're gonna spread this virus. We need to shut it down. Not a word from the director's office, from anyone. They continued that dreadful practice until today. Now Yuma has 844 confirmed cases, not including the outrageous number of infected staff that has resulted in a deceased warden, several staff that are in critical condition in the hospitals, not just from Yuma, but from other complexes as well. Over 5,400 inmates are infected, and that number is not correct. We keep our own numbers. It's way higher, but then again, here we go again, they're hiding it. In fact, they didn't give that number of 844 till Channel 11 pressed them with the low numbers, and all of a sudden, their numbers shot through the roof. Here's a lowdown. We got 26 dead, several staff that have died already, not just the DW. We have several staged in the hospital that are in critical. Douglas has 815 infected. Iman, 963. Phoenix, 429. Lewis, 341. Florence, 294, because a lot of them have been released and some of them are just have recovered. Winslow, 115, and Tucson with a rocking 1,314 infected staff, inmates. It's going up every day over there. I've been getting calls every day. Self-reported staff, 1,517, and those numbers are not correct. And the only reason they self-report is because we forced the hand and the media to give those numbers, and then they had no recourse but to tell staff, go test yourselves, come back and give us your numbers. It's ridiculous, but let's not lose context as why we're here. Currently, Yuma has turned into a breeding ground for COVID by playing Russian roulette with staff and inmates, and this is allowed by Shinn, and it's being kept secret until right now. Staff are under a gag order. They begged me to release this before they have a walkout. They're telling us all, not just this complex, several. They've been threatening this for a while. They're at a point now, lives are being lost. They will walk, and if they walk, it's per this director's guidance. That's where we're at. We are calling AZCPOA and several organizations. We're calling for Shinn's immediate termination. He needs to get out of there, not just for now, but for the future. He's a failure. He has failed. Staff and inmates are dying. He's hiding it. He's using illicit procedures. We can't do this no more. We're also asking the health department on their own, put on some hazmat suits, go down there, look at this catastrophe that they got going. Don't allow this director or the governor to interfere saying, we'll look into it. They're not going to do it. They're going to keep hiding it. Inmate families, staff families, you need to get together, do something about this. Don't leave us hanging alone. You need to do an outcry. It's over. We can't take it no more. Staff are going to walk on you. You guys got that? It's going to happen. We're finding out that all the complexes have the N95. They've got them in the warehouses. They're not giving them out appropriately. They need to unlock it. Just like I'm telling my staff, if they don't give you N95s after this conference, Go on your own. Lieutenants, sergeants, raid those complexes and take them, just like in the 10 Commandments when they went and they raided those granaries for the rice that they were hoarding for nothing. What are we saving it for? A rainy day? This is a rainy day. It's a deluge. And that's why we're here today. I'm going to open up the forum now so I won't kill your time with any questions you may have.
Hey, Carlos, Dave Biscabing. Can you go through, I missed the beginning. Can you go through a little bit about what you're saying about the inmates being sent to hotels or motels?
Oh, yeah.
Can you go into that a little bit more again?
Yes, Mr. Biscabing. What they're doing is that they're taking healthy, right now there's a release process in Yuma that they've been keeping quiet. Staff can't say anything because they'll fire them. I'm telling you, this is what's going on. They're taking healthy inmates that are about to be released, okay, in Yuma. They relocate them for their last 2 weeks in a COVID-infected pod. I'm going to repeat that. It's going on. They're taking healthy inmates. They're putting them in a COVID-infected pod. Then when they're released, they send them to a hotel to self-quarantine. You understand? Under the guise that they might have been exposed to COVID. Now, let me tell you, personally, we have spoken to some of those inmates. DOC tried to hide them, but they spit them out. These inmates were saying, listen, at least we get a place to go, but we are absolutely livid that they're putting us in a pod, a COVID pod, when we don't have anything. And as a result, some have caught it. How are you not going to catch it? It puts them in danger. It puts the staff in danger. It's putting the public in danger by relocating them. And I get that we got to do something with them, but to do it so nefarious as to give them an alias and to tell us not to talk about it, something is not right, Mr. Biscabing. You can't take they're playing Russian roulette with inmates. Would you allow that? Would you allow yourself to be put in a place full of COVID for 2 weeks for the hell of it and then say, well, you're on your own? This is what they're doing. Does that answer that?
Yeah, and then you said that they're using aliases when they put them in these hotels for a couple weeks?
Confirmed, yes, confirmed. They put out the paperwork. They snuck out paperwork for us to see it. This more than one occasion. The instructions clearly say, we need you to take this inmate to such and such travel lodge. You're going to use the following alias, and they give them a whole different name. Doesn't explain why. They give them a name. They instruct the release officers, when you get to the hotel, the inmate doesn't walk in. You walk in, get the key, use the name of the alias. Don't use the inmate's name. Go back, let the inmate in his room to self-quarantine for 2 weeks. And then there's further instructions on he has to call some organization called New Leaf where they get in contact. But the whole process, I'm telling you, I almost don't have heartburn with putting them in a hotel because we got to take care of our convicts. But to give them aliases and to use that procedure of taking a healthy inmate and playing Russian roulette, we're going to put you in here. I hope you don't catch it, but it's okay. Because once you get out of there, we're going to put you in a hotel of self-quarantine for 2 weeks. That's the reality, my friend. Everyone's at risk, including the public right now.
So ADC says that this New Leaf program, that's just standard procedure for them to use an alias when they're checking these men into the hotel. And, you know, I share your skepticism, but at the same time, and I've talked to some other people about this who discuss like the sensitive nature of reentry and whatnot. So
yeah,
at the risk of exposing this program, I mean, what nefarious element are you alleging, or what harm do you think is being done to the public by releasing these people under an alias?
I repeat it again. We're not alleging any danger with the alias. Okay. Let's make it clear. We're not alleging anything. We are confirming that they are taking, under the guise of that program, Mr. Jenkins, they're calling it a program, but prior to releasing them, they're taking healthy inmates that have no COVID and placing them in a COVID environment. You understand? That's what we're getting at today. Then they take that inmate and say, well, you've been exposed to COVID. We put you in there. Now we got to put you in a hotel where you can self-quarantine for 2 weeks. I'm not trying to start nothing with this program or with the fact, even with the alias. I don't know what the alias is about. All I can tell you is that they're playing Russian roulette clearly by taking, I mean, this is something that needs to sink into the public. They're taking healthy inmates. They've told us themselves. They're taking us, putting us within COVID. They're playing Russian roulette with our lives. That's what we're here today for, not the aliases. That procedure that they're trying to hide, and staff are under gag order because of this policy that they cannot speak to the media. They've been emphatic about that. Is that one clear?
Yeah, yeah, that's what
Okay.
when you describe this to me too, that seems like the most troubling part. I just wanted to say I looked into that other part, and
Yeah.
it seems to me where it does seem to be a case where maybe they are acting, in the interest of protecting these people. But I understand the skepticism, so I just wondered what your take on it was. So okay.
This is the same, Mr. Jenkins. This is the same as saying, listen, we're going to release them in a jungle full of lions. Hopefully those lions don't get them. But if they can make it, we've got a surprise for them at the end of the line. Okay. The procedure that they're talking about is illicit and illegal. No one in their right mind would co-author this. They're doing this as quietly as they can in Yuma and thinking we weren't going to find out. Again, I don't care about the aliases. I don't even care about the self-quarantine. What they're doing is that we're taking inmates and literally giving them COVID and our staff. Yuma right now is running on empty. They've got several staff just at nighttime to run, and they're being told, I know we're critical. There's nothing we can do. This is what they're doing. We can't allow it. The public needs to know that we're not just taking inmates and putting them in a hotel, being nice guys. We're literally infecting them and then putting them out in the public. Do you see what we're going? That's what we're pushing at.
Can you maybe describe, like, for someone who wouldn't understand how prisons work, like what procedurally is the error that you're saying they're committing in the release process? When you say they're giving them COVID, I assume that you mean that they're putting them in some living situation that's exposing them to it, which is poor practice. But I mean, can you just explain that? What
Yes.
do you think? Yeah.
Yes. This is like going to the hospital because you cut your finger and they say, listen, you're a healthy individual. We tested you and you have no COVID and you cut your finger. We're going to stick you in this room here. It's nothing but COVID. I hope that when we're done, when you come out, we're going to clean your finger up. Hopefully, I got my fingers crossed that you don't catch the COVID. That's what we're getting at. The procedure in prison is if you're healthy, you separate them as good as you can away from the COVID. When it's time to release them, you release them from their unit healthy. Okay, that's our job. Our job is to protect the public, staff, and inmates. You don't take that inmate prior to release and say, listen, we're going to stick you in a COVID pod before you get out. But it's okay because we get to give you a hotel at the end of that rainbow. Whether you catch the COVID or not, you're going to self-quarantine. Let's hope you don't. Let's cross our fingers. So that is not the correct procedure. You do not release inmates by taking him and putting him in an infected area. He's supposed to be released from his own unit. You don't relocate him to there's no method to that madness. I'm surprised that I'm even talking about it. And it's shocking when staff are going to hear this, and the public should be shocked. I've never heard anything like this in my life. Okay, so that's why we brought up the alias. Why they're doing alias, I don't know. It's just as shady as saying that we're taking healthy inmates, putting them with COVID, but we're not going to say anything about it. We're going to keep that quiet. That's where we're at.
Okay, not to drag this out, but so they used to go to reentry centers before you left the prison, right? So where specifically is this infection going on? Is it like a separate bay at Yuma that you go and you sit in for 2 weeks before you're released or something, or what? I just don't understand.
So let me tell you, for example, we got La Paz unit who has the most infections and they have a COVID pod, okay? If you got inmates, theoretically, this is the way the perfect world works. And anybody, I was a lieutenant and I know this stuff. I don't need to be high up on the chain of command. If you got inmates in several, let's say you got 5 different units, we'll turn La Paz into a COVID place, hypothetically, okay? That means that the other 4 units, if you catch it, separate them from the healthy inmates, put them in La Paz. You follow me? Okay, so now they're in La Paz. Let's say now that that's the area that we know that they're going to be quarantined at. As far as you can quarantine doesn't exist, but we're going to try to hold them there. Staff there should be wearing their PPE, which means a N95. Everyone should be protected. The other units should be left alone. That means if they're clean, don't cross them, don't mix them. So if someone from another place has to be released, then you release them from that unit straight to the gate. If you want to self-quarantine them anyway, by all means do it. Then I'm okay with the program. But that's not what they're doing. They're relocating the healthy inmate, again, moving him in a vehicle to the infected area. Why? I have no idea. But now he's going to spend 2 weeks in an infected pod. And when he's released, now they have to say, well, I don't know if you have COVID or not, but we're going to put you in a hotel to self-quarantine. They're literally poisoning our staff and inmates with that procedure. Do you understand that?
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Okay.
I just wanted you to talk us through where you
Yeah.
thought they were messing up, and it sounds like where they're being held before they go out the door is where you think the infection is happening. I get it. Okay.
It's not, what they're doing is completely, I'm telling you, listen, I'm saying it, it's criminal. You don't do that. That's not how you do releases. You don't take healthy inmates and put them in a COVID pod because they're inmates and that you're going to give them a place to live later anyway. So, you know, keep your fingers crossed. I hope you don't catch it. This is what the public needs to do. If they're okay with it, with their family members getting thrown into COVID like this, with that kind of just neglect and negligence, then I don't know what to tell you. Anybody else has something? Okay, going once, twice. All right. If that's it, then thank you for coming, and I appreciate you guys showing up.
Well, okay. And I mean, are you calling for anything else? Are you guys going to take any follow-up action? Or you said you're calling for the director to be terminated? I mean,
He needs to be terminated. There is no doubt. This has been going on forever. He doesn't answer to anyone. From the very beginning, he failed, and he's still failing. And now he's doing this practice where he's spreading the COVID around. He's got to go. He's got to go. And Yuma needs help right now. That's a disaster area. That is a disaster zone. Sorry, I don't see you guys' face. I don't know who's there and who's where staged.
Do you have a statement on the warden that passed away? And I mean, is everyone, I don't know if Dave already confirmed this or not, but it looks like the sister wrote something on that Facebook page. I mean, are people publicly saying that this man died of COVID now, or is any
direct? Yeah, they did. It's been released. Yeah, it's been released by family members. It's been released by family members that he was sick with COVID, and they thought he would recover, and he didn't recover after all. And Godspeed. We'll miss him. We will miss him. I mean, this is not against, we're not against administration or anything like that, and to that level. And he's been always very polite with AZCPOA speaking to us when we need it. He was one of the few wardens that did it, but Yuma is a hotbed, and it wasn't just him, but a lot of his admin are out right now. And I'm not going to name their names because that's uncouth, but a lot of his admin are out with COVID as well, and we're praying for their recovery. So the only statement I have is, Godspeed. We're going to miss him. Anybody else have anything? No? Going once, going twice. If that's it, then I'd like to thank everyone for participating. And if you need anything, you know where you can reach me. I think they have my phone number and email there. Yes?